Hello people, I hope your XAT preparation is going on target. I have another decision making video here. Before I show you the set, actually you can pause the video and solve it. These are the three questions. Okay, but before I start it, a quick summary of whatever we've discussed in the decision making video one, or I mean, forget about the video. In general, what are the steps in the decision making video? You have to figure out a couple of things. No decision making video is easy or difficult. Okay, it all depends or comes down to how much clarity you have about the whole set and the questions which are being asked. Okay, so looking at the questions will probably give you an idea of how difficult the set is, because the questions could be of two types, right? One, you have to pick only one out of the five options, which is always slightly easier than a question where they ask you for the best combination of 3 or 4 steps, which is always going to be a little difficult, because you have to pick a few good options out of the bad options and then again order them. So you will forget about the set, you get a good idea or decent idea when you look at the questions. Okay, so pick your decision making set carefully, see what are the kind of questions which are being asked. Okay, the question, and again the answers depend obviously on the nature of the questions, what exactly is the priority of the question. But before you go there, you have to understand or size up the situation. So in decision making videos, in decision making sets, what are the parameters that you look for facts. Okay, facts are basically information that's a given, that you don't have to rack your brain with. It's just verifiable, it's just straight up data for you. Okay, then there will be emotional information or emotional considerations, meaning somebody is happy with this, somebody wants this, somebody does not want this, somebody is unhappy with this. So emotional consideration is basically something that gives you information about the protagonist of your set. Okay, but obviously it's emotional, right, for your judgment. Then there will always be a conflict. Try to spot what is a conflict basically is, I mean, without that you cannot have a decision making set, obviously, right? So 9 out of 10 times I can squeeze in a decision making set without really a conflict by saying what should be done next and what not. But there'll almost always be a conflict in a decision making set, which is about should I do A or should I do B? Okay, it will always come down to that kind of situation. How do you pick whether the protagonist should go with A or B? You have to understand the protagonist for that. You have to understand the protagonist's priorities for that. Okay, and then there are some no-nos, which is the last thing you have to remember in decision making. What are the no-nos? Should not do anything unethical. Okay, should not really obviously lie or cheat anybody or betray anybody. Should not self-contradict. Okay, the main protagonist should not contradict against his or her own character. Okay, efficiencies of the importance, and whatever answer you pick should agree word by word to the question. Okay, the question, every word in the question matters, because there are small clues hidden inside the question. But you don't go and do something extreme, something drastic, something unethical. You tend to avoid these kind of steps. Okay, look at this question. Carol Denvers newly joined an AI tech based startup, Marvelous, with 8 employees as a project manager. Okay, these two commas here are important. Okay, otherwise you have to read it as she joined the startup Marvelous as a project manager. That Marvelous has 8 employees. Marvelous is one of 5 startups spawned by a venture capital fund called Krypton, helmed by Steve, Tony, Bruce, Peter, and Albus. So there are 5 people who are part of that fund. Albus and Tony are the hands-on directors for all the startups, taking day-to-day decisions, while the other 3 are passive partners of the board who only attend board meetings to sign off on important decisions. Okay, so what are the important pieces of information here? This is one piece of information for us. So Albus and Tony are the guys who take the day-to-day running decisions. The other guys, the other 3 are passive partners. Okay, so they're not hands-on with the decisions. They only attend board meetings to sign off on important decisions. So it means that Albus and Tony don't have a free hand when it comes to important decisions. Okay, otherwise on a day-to-day basis, these are the guys who take all the decisions. Okay, and this person's joined as a project manager for the small firm or whatever startup. Okay, let's look at the questions now. Once Carol gets into the thick of things, she notices that the tech team lead or head, Mr. Darcy, working on her project, has been demonstrating a lackadaisical, okay, this is your emotional consideration, right? Lackadaisical is negative, lackadaisical attitude despite multiple discussions initiated by Carol with him. This is again an important piece of information. Okay, what's the meaning? What are the repercussions of this? It means that, hey, warning is not the next step, because warning is already done. Okay, whatever you have to do, the question probably will be, or the conflict probably will be, what next after the warnings if the person did not heed the warnings. That's why you have these subtle expressions despite multiple discussions, meaning he's been informed that he's not doing a good job. Right, this is delaying the project. This is again an emotional consideration, right? It's delaying the project, meaning that something has to be done. A problem, the resolution for this problem has to be found. What is the most appropriate action for Carol to take? Okay. Classical run of the mill decision making question. This is if you find questions like these in the exam, you should be able to solve them. Okay. Because the options cannot, no matter how hard I try or how hard the question setters try, there's only one or two things which are going to be really close. And if you understand Carol, or if you get into the shoes of Carol, it should separate itself out if you have the clarity of what you're looking at. Anyway, we'll just look at that. Start the process to recruit someone to replace Mr. Darcy. Okay, this is one option. Send another official email to Mr. Darcy warning him of strict action if he doesn't get his act together. We can eliminate this option. Okay, because we multiple discussions are already over. So again, sending another official email to Mr. Darcy warning him of strict action if he doesn't get his act together. You would ask, right, why was that such a warning not part of these discussions, isn't it? What actually happened in those discussions? So there's always a question mark on options like these, right? Although it seems like what a manager would do, okay, officially I'll send an email because I've had multiple discussions. That's just prejudice. Discussions are over, right? So it's nothing to do with Mr. Darcy or informing Mr. Darcy that, hey, strict action will be taken. Mr. Darcy should have already known it if multiple discussions have happened, right? So you can eliminate this particular option. Send Mr. Darcy's work report to all the 5 partners, requesting them to resolve the issues. This is the problem, isn't it? These guys don't take care of day-to-day issues. Okay, this is too small an issue to be dealing with. So this you can eliminate because they're only signing off for important decisions, right? So this is not see, probably if they want to hire some head or whatever, it might still be a good option, saying, hey, we have these candidates and would you guys want to look at it? Maybe the 5 partners still be justifiable, but definitely not for them to resolve the issue because she's the project manager, right? Reach out to Albus and Tony with a report on Mr. Darcy's work ethic and recommend that action be taken against him, isn't it? Because these are the guys who are in charge of what needs to be done next. It's already out of her hands. Even if she wants to fire the person, Mr. Darcy, she still probably has to inform these people, right? So anyway, so this is again a good candidate for the next step. Request in an email to Albus and Tony that she wants Mr. Darcy out of her team. Now what is the difference between these two? In both cases, there is something going to Albus and Tony, but in this case, she's giving them a report and she's recommending that action be taken against him. Here directly comes down to she wants Mr. Darcy out of her team. You understand the difference between these two? So in option D, the work ethic part is going, and then they should take action against him. In the second part, she's saying, I want this guy out straight away. Now, the difference between option D and option E is, does she have the power to really fire a guy or recommend firing a guy? She probably does not have the the capacity. She's not in her capacity to fire a person, but she in her capacity can recommend that a person be asked out. Okay, but even if now if you look at this particular option, even if she wants Mr. Darcy out of the team or out of her team or out of the company, she has to explain to Albus and Tony what exactly is the issue, right? So this report on Mr. Darcy's work ethic is extremely important. Action be taken against him is less drastic. This is more drastic. I mean, imagine the new project manager sending not so old, rather, I have to put it, not so obviously she gets into the thick of things, says, hey, I don't want this guy, just remove him. That's not the way you go to your boss, right? Saying, hey, this guy is a problem. How do we deal with that problem is the discussion that should be having, isn't it? Which is the less drastic version. D is the less drastic version. E is the more drastic version, isn't it? So the answer to this particular question will be option D. After about 3 months at the job, Carol is frustrated. Okay, again, classic emotional consideration here. Carol is frustrated because the deadline is being missed, partly because of board meetings getting regularly postponed. Okay, you have to be wary of this. Frustrated is a very strong word. Meetings are getting postponed. Steve, Bruce, and Peter rarely respond to emails and are caught up in other work of their own. Albus, however, has repeatedly asked Carol to step up because he expects her to act like the owner of the company, not like an employee. This is again a very strong emotional consideration, right? Wants Carol to take the ownership, classic managerial jargon, isn't it? They'll make it impossible for you to work, but they'll still say you should step up to the plate and show everybody that you are the leader or whatever it is. And that's how the whole corporate carrot and stick thing works, isn't it? Anyway. In this context, what order of steps should she choose in order to avoid missing project deadlines? These are the questions you have to be careful about, because the order of steps is always going to be a little tricky. If you notice, there are 6 options, okay? And in the options, you have groups of 4, which means that you have to eliminate 2 of the 6 steps, and then you have to find the 4 good ones, and then you will have to order them. The first job is to figure out which 2 will go out of the window, which makes our life a little easier. Okay, don't try to find the order straight away. Try to find out what should go out. What is it that she definitely cannot do, right? And then automatically, when you look at the other 4, you'll be able to look at the options and work your way around it a little bit. The main part is to be able to figure out what 2 options will not be part of the steps that she should be taking. Clear? Divide various tasks to her team and present Albus and Tony with an estimate of work hours and resources that may need to be had. This is something that needs to be done, isn't it? Because if she wants to stick to the deadline, she needs all the list of tasks, she needs the estimate of work hours and people she needs and whatnot. So A is a very sensible option to have in your group. So we'll keep it aside. Write a strongly worded email to all the partners informing them that she isn't able to do justice to her work because of their lack of respect for deadlines. Okay. This is a problem area because they are not even her immediate bosses. Okay, they are people who work with her boss and who sit only in the board meetings. And yes, obviously there are dependencies, but you can't directly go and write a strongly worded email here. This option gets eliminated here itself. Right? Writing a strongly worded email is a strict no. Cannot write a strongly worded email to them. Okay, cannot even actually write an email saying, hey, you guys are missing your deadlines or whatever. Probably in a meeting she could ask, how I understand you guys are busy, how exactly am I, how exactly should we work around it, because there's some dependencies. That's the best she can get to. She can't say, she can never get accusatorial. You can be assertive at most with your boss. Okay, above your boss, you don't know what is the relationship in any corporate chain, or whatever, in decision making chain. When there is a hierarchy involved, you cannot get confrontational with anybody beyond your boss. You cannot get confrontational even with your boss, but you can be assertive with your boss and say, hey, this is what's happening and I need your help, or I'm not getting what I expect from you. That is the best you can do with your boss. You can't do that with somebody who's not even your boss, isn't it? Somebody who's at the level of your boss, a little above it, or working along with the boss, whatever it is, isn't it? Different chain of command. So writing a strongly worded email is an easy option to eliminate, right? Create a list of tasks each of the partners should complete is the other close one. Again, this is borderline. We'll come back to it. Okay, I'll tell you whether we should eliminate it or not. Create a project plan and get all 5 partners to agree upon the extent to which she can be autonomous on decisions, right? Between C and D, which is the one that she can do, D, obviously, because she needs to know what decisions she can take what decisions, because that will help save time. Okay, if she has to keep going back to Albus and Tony and the other 3 for everything, then, obviously the delay will happen. But if she knows, or she has a clarity in the project plan saying what all decisions can I take, what all decisions can I take on my own, what all decisions do I have to reach out to you. Also remember, these not just about asking them what can I do and what can I not do. There is a subtle subtext below D, right? If I am going to my boss and saying, hey, there are 3 things that need to be done. Of these 3 things, which ones can I do without even coming back to you? And if my boss says B and C you can do on your own, A, come back to me. So if the boss says A, come back to me, that means the boss is also indirectly agreeing, saying I will give you my time, or I am answerable to you, right? Because if the boss saying, hey, A you can't do without telling me, and I am not available, then later something gets delayed, I can always say, hey, A was, you clearly said A was, something that you wanted to talk about. So that's the subtext in D. That's more like what, I mean, yeah, you MBA guy, future MBAs will learn to do all this funky stuff, but it's just common sense. Okay, there's nothing in the B school that they'll teach you you're not going to find in real life when you walk around, isn't it? It's just more like paying for the degree rather than paying for the learning, as much as you say why MBA, so all the funky stuff in your interviews and all that. We'll get to that some other day. But the point is, it's just common sense at the end of the day. Understanding how to deal with people, understanding how to talk, what is the right way to talk to people, what is the right way to get work done, for which you obviously need clarity on what is the work. That's why this creating project plan is such a good step. Okay, so between C and D, we don't have to worry about D. D we will keep, isn't it? So A and D both will be part of my group. Establish fixed weekly meetings with Albus and Tony to run through decisions that need their approval, which is again equally important, isn't it? So D, E, A all come before C. So that is also my part of my group. Request Tony and Albus for consistent turnaround time by which they would get major decisions ratified by their other partners. Now between F and C, the decision becomes very easy. That's the reason I did not worry about C much. If I'm not absolutely sure about about one particular option, I'll just leave it, isn't it? Because some other option that comes later will help clarify things further. So between C and F should be in the group, isn't it? F is what Carol is more likely to do than C, or Carol is supposed to do. I can't give the guys who are funding the company I'm running a list of tasks. Okay, it's just not the way you go about things. Instead, the guys I report to and the guys who are saying, hey, you take ownership, those guys I can request for turnaround time, say, hey, I want you guys on Friday 9 a.m. or whatever it is, please give me that one meeting. Pick your, I mean, obviously you won't say I have decided Friday, so you have to be available on Friday. Give me one day when by which you will give me all these decisions, because this is what these are the dependencies, and then you talk to your partners or whatever it is, right? So between C and F becomes a better option to pick. So C is out of the window, right? So B and C are out of the window. Now, what is the order? What is the first thing that she should know? First thing she should know, see, because see, this is about their approval, this is about decisions, isn't it? So, and this is about dividing various tasks to a team and then coming back to an estimate of work hours and resources that may need to be had. For all of this, she needs to know which decisions she can take on her own. Only when she knows what all decisions she can take on her own can she do the rest, isn't it? So D has to be the first of the four that you're going to pick, isn't it? And then we have established fixed weekly meetings with Albus and Tony to run through decisions that need their approval. Request Tony and Albus for consistent turnaround time by which turnaround time by which they would get major decisions ratified by their other partners. Okay, now this part, does it have to be done first, second, or third? Doesn't matter, isn't it? It's just requesting them for consistent turnaround time. Okay, so it's not a task on which there is necessarily a dependency. Okay, but this one is a task, establishing fixed weekly meetings with Albus and Tony to run through decisions that need their approval. Now again, you have to understand E and F are way too close. Okay, that's why you don't see D, F, E in the options. Okay, way too close to call, because in both cases, in one case I'm requesting them for a turnaround time, saying, hey, major decisions you have to get ratified by partners. And then I'm fixing weekly meetings. Okay, but E comes before F anyway, even on like that 1% margin. Why would E come first? Because establishing fixed weekly meetings, Albus and Tony, to run through decisions that need their approval, okay, sits with this part, right? Creating a project plan, getting all of them. See, so I have a project plan. I have established fixed weekly meetings. Only after that can I request them for consistent turnaround time for decisions to be ratified by other partners, isn't it? So establish fixed weekly meetings with them and then request them for consistent turnaround time. You understand? So but it's too close to call. Okay, D, it's just that E is slightly ahead of F because E is an action point, F nothing depends on it. So E we have to get out of the way. So D and E are important. Now you have F, between F and A, divide various tasks to a team and present Albus and Tony with an estimate of work hours and resources that may need to be had is something that I would do once my request for weekly meetings and request for turnaround time and all these they're like done. Okay, now what next? Then you will get to them and say, hey, these are all the tasks, these are number of people I want, isn't it? Because this one is project level work. If you notice, these two are still this person trying to establish roles and responsibilities. What am I responsible for? What are you two responsible for? What are those three responsible for? D obviously is asking that question, how far I can go. Therefore, D comes first, isn't it? Therefore, the answer to this particular question will be D, E, and then F and A. And you would not see D, F, E, A for the same reason. I mean, I would be very unfair to you guys if I just put D, F, E, A in the options and then try to justify in all magical language saying this happened, that happened. The kind of stuff that you'd see in the CAT that happened recently, lots of I don't know, ambiguous stuff where options are too close. And the problem with English is, I mean, you have to treat it like math to score well. But at the end of the day, the person who decides the key can always say, A is the answer because I said so, and then explain it. B is the answer because you can justify pretty much anything. And what I want to do, why the reason I'm discussing this with you guys is I don't want you guys to get demotivated because of stuff like that. Okay, it happens to the best of us that two options will look extremely close. On a bad day, you can't even call it a bad day. It's just if you're smart and you catch some tone or whatever, you pick one option and didn't pick the other option, and then on lucky day you kind of agree with them. On an unlucky day, you kind of disagree with the question setters. The point I'm trying to make is your job is to score as high as possible. Okay, your job is need not be, you don't have to be the country topper, you don't have to get everything right. Your job is only to be as consistent as possible and score as high as possible. Ambiguity should not deter you because you're only trying to set a process in place and try to figure out a way of solving decision making. In this case, decision making, or even RC, the same thing works. Trying to solve questions in as methodical way as possible. And you could get close and then sometimes get it wrong, or sometimes you actually probably are more right than the question setter and still not get the marks. It happens. You can't do anything about it, but that can't bother you, okay? Because you decided, you signed up for it, okay? You signed up to play the game of the of those guys, and you said, okay, fine, I'll write the I'll pay money and attempt this exam, and because I have no other way of getting into the B school. So you cannot mope around, or you cannot wallow in this whole negativity that, hey, I'm not able to get this, I'm not able to do this, or the question paper is too ambiguous, and whatever it is. All that's fine, but you have to clear that negativity if you want to get into a good B school. End of the day, your purpose is not to prove how awesome you are to your immediate friend circle or whatever, and saying, I scored this many, I'm getting these many marks. That's not your purpose, okay? Your purpose is to get to one of the top B schools, a B school you're happy with, okay? And then the real struggle starts anyway, but you have to get there, isn't it? So you can't waste this time moping around. I mean, giving this mini lecture because a lot of students come back to me and say, I don't feel like preparing for that, this happened, that happened, Cat, and it happens to everybody, okay? Most people, and anybody who says, who's 100% confident that person's just getting 100% for sure and then went and got it, that's just not going to happen with 99.99999 people. That's this deliberate reason why I put that many nines, okay? Those are the odds. So please don't mope around. Get a method. That's about the only thing you can do. Everything else, and I can see, think of it, that's the reason you're learning decision making sets, isn't it? What can I do? What can I not do? What you cannot do, what's the point of moping around it? Okay, what can you do? Put a decision, learn to read well, learn to assess and analyze well, put a method to your madness, see how you can arrive at the answers. How can I pick the right decision making sets? How can I look at the questions and understand which set is easy and which set is difficult? Okay, how can I solve these questions fast? How can I not get stuck in one or two questions because I need to score quite a few marks? Okay, if I have to score like 9, 10 in VRC, or 11 marks in that, for example, in VRC alone, how much time took you because there are no individual deadlines? These are your problems, okay? Your problem is not nahi ho raha is not, it's, and you never know how many other people are getting it wrong, okay? So that's why these questions are very important. It's just adding finesse to your decision making. Can she do A? Can she do B? Can she do C? If she can't do C, why can't she do C? Okay, it stays in your head. Can I do D? With my manager, is this allowed? Not allowed. With my manager's manager, is this allowed? Not allowed. With my colleagues, is this allowed? Not allowed. Okay. Again, there are so many issues that you will see at a corporate level. So many decisions you will see, isn't it? So always comes down to understanding, okay, the person who's taking this decision, in this case, Carol, what are her powers? How much has been given in the information? So which options are telling me what she can do within the information that's given to me? That's all you have to be focusing on, okay? Next question. As the marvelous theme expands, Carol finds that it is lacking in gender diversity with only 2 women employees in the team alongside 14 women. Okay, I actually want to digress a little bit here. I didn't want to make the question too confusing or long. That's why I just said 2 women employees and then 14 men. But gender diversity is not just about men and women. Remember that. Okay, there are several gender types, and it's good for people as future business leaders to be able to understand it. I don't want to mislead you guys by saying 2 women employees and 14 and these are the only 2. Then gender diversity is not just about having men and women. Okay, it's about being open and aware of all the other possible gender types. Okay, but just for the sake of simplicity, I kept it like this. The partners, though, are oblivious, or they are not aware of, oblivious to the need to groom diversity in the workforce, as long as projects are being completed on time. So they don't care about grooming diversity. This is the emotional consideration. They're oblivious to it. Oblivious is a negative word, by the way. So a lot of how you understand this paragraph depends on your understanding of the word oblivious. Okay, as long as projects are being completed on time, which of the following is the best possible business rationale Carol can offer to the partners to convince them to hire more people at the workplace? Okay, so the question is, she should get the partners to hire women employees, but she should give a business rationale for that. Okay, of these 5, which of them is the logic that she can use in an argument, right? Women employees are as talented and hardworking as male employees are, is the easiest option to eliminate. Okay, I hope you did not pick this as the answer. So first option that goes out. Why? They're as talented and hardworking as male employees. Fine, we have male employees. Fine, why should we hire women employees? That is going to be their obvious question, isn't it? You have to convince them to do something they aren't doing as of now, which means there should be something new or something over and above what is already being offered by the male employees or whatever they already have. Okay, So A is easy to eliminate, because if you're just saying, hey, these guys are as good as, like, fine, nobody's saying these guys are not as good as that, but we have 14 employees already, male employees and 2 female employees. That's fine. Why do we need to hire female employees? The question they're going to ask, right? Or why do we need to dedicate extra resources to hiring one gender or a bunch of genders over and above the male gender, when we can just go about and hire whomever we want to put in that extra resources? You have to convince them what else is on the plate, right? So A won't work. Hiring of women employees will present the company in good light when it comes to attracting talent in the future. Possible. Okay, this is a possible rationale. If you want to attract good people, we want to create a good workplace, and hiring women employees, but then leaves one open-ended question, which is why. Okay, why will it present the company in good light? Is it because the new employees are joining thing, okay, this has a good is a talent, female talent, which says, okay, there are only 2 women, so I don't want to join this. If you have this, basically one more layer of questioning that comes under B. Okay, there is an always watch out for these kind of expressions. We'll present the company in good light, especially this in good light. How and why? So vague expressions are rarely going to help. The reason they give vague expressions in the option is your prejudice will fill the emptiness, and you should not be doing it. Okay, we don't know why it is in good light, so we don't know how it is a good business rationale. Simple as that, right? Gender diversity contributes to the brand value of the company as an attractive place to work for. Can you see the difference between B and C? C is slightly better, isn't it? Because C is telling you contributes to the brand value, as opposed to presenting the company in good light. Same thing, will present the company in good light and contributes to the brand value, pretty much similar. Okay, everything else in the options are anyway, if you notice, are similar. The only difference is presenting in good light versus brand value. Brand value gives an extra business rationale. There's an extra added term. Okay, contributes to the brand value of the company, slightly better than B. Okay, now marvelous projects will benefit from a diversity of perspectives that women employees will bring to the table. Okay, now C, between C and D we need to compare because they're very close. We'll keep them aside for now. D is also good candidate because I have a proper business rationale saying new perspectives, diversity of perspectives that they'll bring. The projects will benefit. If we had just added this much, okay, the women will bring a diversity of perspectives to the table, would not have been enough. Because what will I do with those diversity of perspectives will be the other obvious question. But it's telling you clearly, okay, that the projects will benefit, making your job a little easier. So D is very close. The productivity of a team depends on having the right mix of individuals, does not focus on gender diversity. Isn't having the right mix of individuals. I'm probably having the right mix of individuals, that those guys will say, okay, between these amongst these 14 and 2, 14 plus 2, I have the right mix of individuals, they'll say. Nothing that pushes them into saying, hey, we need women employees, we need to add that number, isn't it? So E can be eliminated. Now between C and D, what is the difference, right? In C, it is saying gender diversity will increase the brand value of the company at a future point to attract talent, or to attract better employees. Now, why do you need better employees? So that the company can implement the projects in a better way and therefore get more business. D is directly telling you it will benefit the projects, isn't it? So, which is a better rationale? D is a better rationale. C is the second best rationale if you want to ask why. Okay. So, the answer to this particular question will be option D. Okay. That brings us to the end of this video. Hope you got to learn a thing or two. Until next time, peace out.